Okay, if you were looking for the session, Mastering Team Mojo, this is it. But I decided to change the title a little bit. It's still the same content. We're still going to talk about how to make your teams effective and breaking bad habits. So, I know you've already seen this slide, but I want to thank our sponsors again. I know particularly Salman, if you know Salman. He's put in like dozens or, I don't know, 100 hours into getting this event ready. Without these people, we would not be here. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Okay, I'm Dave Hansen-Lang. I work with Four Kitchens, a Drupal agency. And I've been crafting stuff with Drupal for more than 20 years. And let me tell you about Four Kitchens. We're an American agency. So I have no illusions that you're going to want to hire us. That's okay. That means that I don't have to try and be nice to y'all. I'm going to try and give you some tough love, actually. Because this is all about breaking bad habits and trying to make your work more successful. And that means it's going to hurt a little bit. Sorry in advance. Sorry, not sorry. But let's dive in. Oh, I wanted to point out that everything I'm going to talk about today, it's not my original ideas. We work with Drupal, so we incorporate stuff from all over the place. The stuff that I'm talking about is just general product management kind of stuff that has been evolved over the years. We don't talk about product management much in the Drupal world, and I think we need to talk about it a little bit more. So let's take a look at who's here. And this isn't just an icebreaker, because this is going to inform the stuff that we talk about and how we're all going to do a survey, and it's going to inform how we look at the results of that survey. So I know that some of you are with Drupal agencies or Drupal consultancies. For you, just pretend that you are actually part of your client's teams for today. That you're actually really their partner more than you say that you are now. And so, with that in mind, there's two ways that we can look at who's here in the room. Either what sort of industry or that kind of group you're in, or like what is your role in the work. And so looking at the industry stuff, I know there's a lot of government people here. How many of you come from government or government arm's length agencies, or if you're an agency person, like your clients? Cool, okay. So that's like about half of you. Okay. Any from higher ed? A couple higher ed people. Any nonprofits? Couple. Okay, for-profit people. There's a couple. Okay, you four, because I mostly work with those first few groups that are nonprofit focused. We are going to rely on you to help teach us the things that can make our nonprofit work better by thinking about it a little bit more how the for-profit space thinks about things. So let's look at that other way of looking at things. What your role is. So I think that what we're going to talk about today can really, and anybody can take something away from it. So how many of you are like C-suite people? CTOs, CIOs, CPOs, CMOs? Any? No? That's okay.
I'm self-employed, does that count?
Yes, it does. You always raise your hand.
Any directors, VPs, middle management people? Got a couple? Okay. Any individual contributors? So developers, designers, project managers. Anybody that I'm missing who hasn't raised their hand? What are you?
Passers-by.
Passers-by. Okay. Hopefully you'll get something from this too. Okay, so we've got a lot of different groups here, a lot of different industries represented, and I think that's great. We're going to be able to see some different trends coming out of that. Okay, so we're really going to think about how successful was your last project. Some of you, you just work on one thing, one website, one platform or something, like that's your one project. But others of you, you're like working on something for 3 or 6 months and then you move on to the next thing. Whatever it was, how successful was your last big project is our first exercise today. Now, when I started coming to Drupal camps, 20 years ago now, there was hardly anyone in the room who was older than 30. Now, if you look around, we're all getting a little bit older.
It's the same people. 20 years ago.
But that means, well, I mean, there's some problems with that. That's a topic for another talk, maybe, how we build up more young people in our community. But it means that we're getting a little bit more experienced. We've done a few more projects. We've had some more successes. We've had some more failures, and we can start to see some patterns now about the way we do things. Sometimes the way we keep doing things over and over, and whether that works or not. So we're going to look at, from those patterns, what are 10 common challenges. I want you all to pull out your phone and scan this. We're going to do a survey together. It's going to be much more exciting if everyone participates, because we'll get more results and we'll be able to talk it through a little bit more. This will just take you to a standard Google form. I'll give you a few moments to get that up. If anyone's having some trouble, let me know. Okay, looking good. Don't jump ahead quite yet. We're going to talk these through one by one. Come on in. Oh, come in now and scan this QR code while you still can. I'll give you a moment. So right off the bat, those of you who see it already, you see all these 10 common challenges with quirky names. Don't worry, we're going to talk through what each of these things are. Okay, the first one, if your project has experienced this, the hamster wheel, where if you look back on it, you'll think, oh, we were focusing on output more than outcomes. What do we mean by output? The hours that you're working, getting requests filled, getting money billed if you're at an agency, getting tickets done, versus outcomes. For example, those of you in higher ed, getting new students to sign up to your higher ed institution. So if your last big project fell into this trap, check the box.
Would deadlines fall into this category as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, number 2, the counting house. Was your last big project obsessed with internal metrics? And by internal metrics, we mean like if you're telling your brother or your sister about this project, about these metrics, like they wouldn't really know what you're talking about. Time on page, like here, these 4 here are just kind of general metrics, but like you've probably got some other ones for government or higher ed that are a little bit specific to you, but stuff that doesn't make sense to people from the outside. Were you focusing on that a lot? If so, check the box. Number 3, the ivory tower. Lack of customer research. I've worked here for over a decade. I know what our users need. Did you actually ask them? Did you do any user interviews or research into different demographics?
I guess it would also include, like, we did the user research, then you have the director saying, yeah, but I don't care, I want it blue.
Yeah, or ignoring the customer research. The science lab, optimization to the exclusion of everything else. So A/B test everything. Oh, the one that wins, we'll move on to that. Do the next A/B test. I mean, that's basically how Facebook and Instagram and the other big socials grew so big. They made crack cocaine for us, great, but not so great from some other perspectives. Sometimes when you just rely on only A/B tests to decide what's good, you rarely get any innovation. Number 5, the feature factory. Pumping out the features, pumping out the features. They told us to build this, they told us to build that. Don't know why, don't know what the purpose of these features is, but we're pumping them out, pumping them out. Number 6, the business school. Overuse of science and data. And by that, different from the customer research stuff, looking at quantitative data mostly here, maybe not looking enough at qualitative data. Did your last big project fall into this trap? 7, the roller coaster. Every sprint, the priorities change. Looks like these people are having fun, but if you've experienced this, you know that it's not fun.
Let's be agile.
Okay, number 8. Building the bridge to nowhere. Over-engineering. I know we've got some Drupal people in this room. I'm one of them. It's so easy to create some big, complicated thing in Drupal. Oh, we've got this 5-step content approval process, but only one piece of content is ever in review.
And one person reviewing it.
And publishing it.
Yeah. And writing.
Number 9, the negotiating table.
Oh,
Everyone's got a voice, which is great that everyone can have a voice, but everyone also has influence and directing where we're going. And that can often devolve into, well, we'll just do the thing that the least number of people hate, which obviously is not going to be an excellent solution.
Like bike shedding, everyone's an expert.
Yeah, I think this could fall, bike shedding could fall into this. You just get stuck in endless negotiations and you never actually get to something. The throne room. It's one person at the top, whipsaw decisions. We don't see this in our culture right now, where the person in charge keeps making different decisions, throwing the rest of the world off balance.
Whatever you mean.
If you've ever heard the term swoop and poop, like a seagull, it just swoops down to your time on the beach, poops on you, and then leaves. Same kind of idea here. Okay, and then our last question, which one of these 10 has held you back the most? And I'll just slowly scroll through these, so you've probably forgotten the first few, what they mean. There's got to be one of these that has impacted you more than the others. Okay, is everyone good? Don't forget to submit. Don't forget to click the submit button, because with Google Forms, you don't click the submit button at the end, we don't get your data. Everybody's in? Okay. Theory. Okay. So we got our live results here. Okay. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger. Hopefully that's big enough. Okay. Well, I think it's super clear. The hamster wheel, the roller coaster, and the negotiating table are our top 3 by far. And surprisingly, we even got like a 0 in there. Well, congratulations, you're not falling into that trap. Okay, in some ways, this doesn't actually surprise me all that much. Some of this is just human nature. Some of this is Drupal nature. That's sad to say. So like it's pretty common that we've got some trends here. I should pause. You tell me, what are you thinking and feeling after going through this exercise? Go ahead.
I kind of looked how the numbers are distributed, and I went, yep, that's how government efficiency is defined. Those big 3 pigs.
I remember why I changed job, because you can know which one I did not pick, because there was only one that I did not pick in the list. It says on it, everything else, the last project I did, I'm like, previous employer, which I used for that. We take all the bugs, and it's a for-profit organization. So
Okay, well,
projects
maybe
can be
the
raised.
for-profit world hasn't figured everything out. Anybody else?
I'd be curious to see the breakdown between private sector and public
Yes,
sector on this
if
one.
only we had more time. I wish we could have like separate rows for like, oh, this is what the government people screw up the most. This is what the high-grade people screw up the most.
I was going to say that the parts about A/B testing and numbers are things that I think my superiors would be all focused on, but everything is so tight, small teams, so many priorities that we actually just don't have the resources to get into the nitty-gritty. But if we did, they would be all over it, and it would be a huge roadblock for sure.
I think a lot have if it's like a government breakdown or whatever, like the ones that are like very clearly always the government column might have less to do with like how the team is working together and structured, and maybe more to do with how the client has outlined their initiatives and their priorities and maybe their communication strategy to the team. And then the team has to kind of scramble to kind of make that happen for them. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and we're gonna, some of the things that you mentioned, we're about to dive into next. Go ahead.
Is the bridge to nowhere the over-engineering one? I think it was.
Yep,
that-
yep.
Yeah, so one of the things that I find is people, every shiny object that you show them, they want it. They absolutely want it. Every last module, every last thing, well, that could be useful, that would be great. And sometimes you end up with something that's way too complex for what their needs were in the beginning. It's hard to pull them back and to keep them to get users to keep them simple.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. So many times I find myself saying, yeah, gone down this road before. 2 years from now, this is what you will be thinking. No, we want it. We want it. Let's look at the other tab. Navigate my mouse over here. Impacted the most. Okay, it's interesting that everything's really bunched up again. The negotiating table is number 1. The hamster wheel, number 2. And the feature factory, number 3. Cool. Okay. Does anything here surprise you?
I think with the number of government people here, the negotiating table makes a lot of sense.
Is it surprising that we've been doing the web for like 30 plus years now, and we're making the same mistakes over and over?
Can I say that I'm surprised that Throne Room is not higher?
I think that's a good point.
Honestly,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
the number of times we run into, whether it's an expert that's in the client space, the expert, or an executive in the client space who's overriding communication priorities. I'm surprised that's not higher.
I could say that based on my experience, I chose negotiating table because that one caused the most delay in the project, because when the leader swooped in and made decisions, at least the project started moving, and through the project, in for-profit organization, what we usually did, we started to hide a bit of features here and there, waiting for the negotiating table to go in a new round of negotiations and lose time there. And when the leader came back and swooped in to stop that negotiation, we told them, hey, we already built this and this and this, so we should go live with this. So they were able to say, hey, okay, stop the negotiation, this is already done, put it online and move on.
I think another trait of the negotiating day was that while everyone has their opinion and feels like an expert, no one actually really wants to take accountability and actually own the decision.
Okay, everybody's getting warmed up. Everybody wants to talk now. There will be more time at the end if we can fit everything in. Let's see here. Okay. My presenter view all of a sudden got all wonky. Just bear with me here. Okay, we looked at the results. Oh, yep, we went through those questions. Okay, so what the realm of product management tells us is that all of these things that we're all experiencing, there's a reason for that, or a way to think about them to counteract those things that we're experiencing. And it's all kind of related to being weak or strong in various points in the product process. I know talking about product is a little bit foreign for us who haven't been in that realm before, but bear with me here. I'll try and get you up to speed a little bit. So, as Drupal people, we tend to think a lot about here at the end, building stuff. But there is a lot more that needs to go into making something successful. And I should say, I like frameworks like this, when your objective is to like engage the public on a government website, or like bring in new students to your higher ed institution. Like, how do you even begin to like try and examine that overall purpose and like do something with it? So like frameworks like this can help us break out of the patterns that we have. They're by no means perfect. This will not solve all your problems. Hopefully it will help you look at things a little bit differently and think about things a little bit differently. So in the first section here, identify. What is the main thing that you're trying to do? It's not build a Drupal website. It's something else, some higher level thing that the organization is trying to get visitors who come to the website to do. But the visitors coming to the website also have a purpose. There's overlap between those things, probably, should be, but they're not the same thing. Let me give you an example. Higher ed. The goals that the higher ed institution is trying to achieve: bring new students in the door, help existing students sign up for classes, things like that. Those are the same things that those students and potential students want, but those people also want more. If you're a potential student, you want a career journey. You want a community. All these things that you're wanting to get out of your higher ed institution that are way beyond just the numbers and can't really be quantified, that's where the qualitative stuff comes in. Number 2, envision. Okay, many of us are working on Drupal stuff every day, adding new features, fixing new bugs, people request things. If we just keep doing that, how much improvement to the big picture are we actually going to see? 5% over some period of time, 10% over some period of time. It's not really going to move the needle on things. And so the way that especially Silicon Valley thinks about things, you've got to envision how to 10x what you've currently got. You're not going to hit 10x. You might only hit 3x, but if you hit 3x, that's way better than the 5 or 10% that you're achieving now. So what would that look like if, let's think about government, if constituents came to the website and it was super easy for them to find what they needed, they found what they needed, it was less work for the staff and the people on the back end. How would that really look 10 times what it is now? Then you need to work backwards. Okay, you've got this vision, work backwards, how do you achieve it? This is super hard. I'm not trying to tell you otherwise. There is books and courses and everything, just especially about this section, about all of it actually, about like how to actually break down those super big concepts into something that you can achieve. Prioritize. I talked about how most of us are working on things ongoing. Okay, you've still got those bugs, those infrastructure upgrades, those requests coming in, but you've got this big vision that you can't put on the back burner because it's got to happen if you really want to make change. And so how do you balance those two things? Sometimes that means the request that's coming in right now, you got to have the guts to say it's never going to happen. Because sometimes those hard conversations need to happen. And then build it. This is where we as Drupal people are pretty strong. And we build great things, we build powerful things, and make it happen. And it's not just from the technology. We as Drupal people, we generally have great process of how to build things that we've honed up over the years. Now let me just take a step back for a minute here. We are entering a recession, and some of us are in it already. If we cannot connect high-level goals to actually making it happen, our departments are going to get cut, our clients are not going to hire us anymore if we're at an agency. And so this stuff is really hard, and it requires hard conversations and making some people not so happy sometimes. But it's what needs to happen if we want to keep our jobs, keep our companies, and grow further from here. Okay, that was cool and all, but what does it actually have to do with those 10 challenges that we talked about? Well, each one of those things is a breakdown of one or more of those 5 steps. So let me illustrate exactly what I'm talking about here. Take a look at that first one, the hamster wheel. Okay, output over outcomes. You're probably doing great at these things, but it sounds like something up here is not clicking quite right. Do you have a vision? Is that vision constantly being talked about? Is there a strategy about how to break down a big vision into achievable pieces? Are the people that are working on these things talking to the people who are working on these things? Let me tell you, as Drupal people, we're working on this stuff here. Whether you choose paragraphs or layout builder, it's not going to have that big of an impact on the overall picture. And so either you all got to be stepping up to like pushing the broader stuff, or someone else does, and it's all got to click together. The counting house. Obsession with internal metrics. I don't think there was too many that talked about this, but it was just internal metrics. Maybe you're missing out on this identity, and like when we talked about like with students and like I want a community, I want a career path. There's no internal metric that's going to track that. The ivory tower. We know what's best for our users. Are you actually doing that customer research up front? The science lab. Ooh, what's going on here? This thing stopped. Oh.
Is it your battery?
No, the
No, my battery's fine.
the box. Is it? Did it get
Green light on. I don't even really know what this thing is.
Might try unplugging it.
Yeah.
I just don't stop.
Yep.
Well, you might have to bypass.
Try unplugging it out of your computer and plugging it.
Well, but this thing like totally went off. Okay. Well, there's improvement. Oh, there's my calendar, you can all see now.
Well, that's a free time in the morning.
Okay, we'll just make this work for now. I won't do speaker notes. Okay, where were we? The science lab. Optimization to the exclusion of all else. Okay, you're optimizing, but like optimization, you can only get a little bit at a time. And that's not going to cut it if we want to make a real big impact. So think about how to 10x, not just 5% more. Feature factory, assembly line of features. I think this one came up a lot. Okay, so maybe you're good at like figuring out like how to break things down into smaller pieces, but like are you connecting the vision with actually making it happen? What do the people who are doing this understand why? Are you measuring to see if what you're building is actually accomplishing something? We've deployed some new work. Did it make things better or worse in terms of our high-level goals? How do we know? Are we measuring anything? Are we measuring the right things? Measurement is something that we in the Drupal community don't really do enough of, because it's a little bit weird and it's a little different from the Drupal-y stuff. And so how to grow into that area? Go ahead.
Is there a web community that does that bit better? Like if you switched into like a Node.js stack or Ruby on Rails stack, do we find those communities tailored to that more?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. In some ways, yes. I think in some ways the WordPress people are a little bit better at that, actually. And that this is a little bit of a shortcoming of the Drupal community. Yeah, and I get it. It's a lot more funner to think about paragraphs and layout builder and experience builder. Business school, overuse of science and data. I think this is one that got 0. The roller coaster, fast-paced twists and turns. Maybe you're just building things and you're not working on this first section here. Because if you've got a clear vision, oh, like this is our ultimate goal, this is how we're going to get there, then in some ways things tend to just fall into place. Oh, well, the most important next step is X. That's how we're going to get to our high-level vision that we're always talking about and always reiterating to everyone. And so then things just stay on track because we're all aligned. Bridge to nowhere. Okay, if you've got a bridge to nowhere, again, Drupal people, we do this sometimes. We build cool stuff, but we don't necessarily talk about, okay, our number one thing is bringing in new students, and so this complicated thing, if you can explain to me how that really ties directly, then this makes sense to do. But if not, is it really important? And thinking about long-term future and where we're going to be 2 years from now if we don't focus on the things that are going to be super important. The negotiating table. People keeping everyone happy. From the examples earlier, maybe this prioritization section, if you can push back and say, we decided that these high-level things should come in this order based on the impact that those 5 high-level things are going to have. Number 1 is going to impact everybody in these ways. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the least important. Then it's super clear. And I get why this is hard. It's not about the technology. It's about people and getting people aligned on ideas and getting people to agree on what's important and what's not. And that's not really a Drupal skill. And so we either got to grow into those skills or And make sure there's someone around who can.
Can I make a really quick comment?
Yeah.
And sometimes people have the false idea that you need absolute consensus from everyone to move forward on something.
Yeah.
And often that's impossible, and you have to make concessions somewhere. And
Yeah.
that's where I find you get stalled.
And I think that's a total myth too, because people don't need to necessarily be agreed with. People need to feel heard. And so it's important to ask everyone in the room what they're thinking, or especially when you think someone's thinking something different. And most of the time, that's all people need, is just to be able to talk about their perspective, which they know is a little bit different. If there's trust in the room, then that's often all that's needed. Building trust is hard. It's not something we talk about with Drupal coding, but it's key.
Maybe I think it's also, maybe just build a Google form for anonymously submitting your.
Sorry, you were
I
going
was
to say.
going to say, sometimes it's just having the right people at the table as well. And I find that when you have too many people at the table, it doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure.
Does anyone else run across like a negotiating table paired with an ivory tower where you have a negotiating table and they finally come up to something, but they gotta run it past a boss who's not at any of the meetings?
Yeah, and there has to be someone there who's like has the courage to speak to that higher level person about those higher level goals and priorities and how it all fits together. The throne right here is exactly what you're talking about. If there isn't executive buy-in, yeah, there's more chaos. Keeping everyone looped into the right level. Okay, where to go from here? We talked about some challenges and illustrating where things might be going wrong for you. Where can you go from here? This was just super high level. You can't fit solutions to all these things in half an hour. But I come back to the product management stuff. And like I said, this isn't stuff that we talk about enough in the Drupal community. Prodify is a company that just does stuff around product management and leadership, thought leadership and product management. Same with the Silicon Valley Product Group. Both of these organizations have like models and courses and articles. Anything by Marty Kagan, he's like, he's seriously called Uncle Marty in the products community. He has books and videos. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, he is really thoughtful and has really challenging ideas for you. So this is where I recommend to go from here, because this, like I said, I'll say it again, doing more stuff with Drupal is not going to help you figure this stuff out. Okay, that's it. Any more questions? I know y'all are wanting to talk more, so let's keep going. Where are we at for time? I don't have my book out.
6 or 7.
10 minutes, okay. Who's got more thoughts?
Are those tools that was analyzed last time, are they just another like agile thing to do? Because if it's just another agile methodology or another form of agile.
Are you talking about these five?
Sorry, the last two things.
So
the last guide.
Prodify and
Yeah.
No, they don't really get into agile stuff. Because Agile's really just focused on that last section, the build section, and how to have good process there. This kind of stuff focuses on the whole big picture, from like figuring out what your high level goals are all the way through to building it.
I find that working with at the University of Ottawa, there's the big, the big website, the big team that manages a lot of larger sections of the site. I work with the Faculty of Health Sciences, so each faculty and department usually gets their own site that they manage, and we have some colleagues here. In our case, the teams are so small that my team is so small that the table doesn't look that complicated, and it's usually filled with people who don't know how any of it works. So that's one of the challenges that I face, is that their top level requirements are based on just an idea of there's a work process, and can you do something about that? Can we build a power app for that or something? So it's less about we need this, like this, the voices aren't very loud or authoritative above, but I feel like there's not enough people at the table who know what it is that we're doing. And I think that's one of the bigger challenges. And I find myself wearing those hats.
Oh yeah.
I'm the hamster wheel for this part, and then I'm the guy who needs to be more at the table because we don't have enough data, we don't have enough requirements that we need. And I don't want to have to redo something when we're in the late stages of deployment or something. So I'm finding this really interesting, and also I think some of the people here probably work with larger teams, more moving parts, but that's sort of a curiosity.
I think that's one of those things where we all think everybody else is different from my situation. But really, we're all in really similar situations, and we feel constrained by our team size and our budgets, and I get it that like none of us at the table really know what we're doing, and that's okay. I find a technique that really works well for me is just ask questions like, what if, are we thinking about this enough? Sometimes the answer is, yeah, we are thinking about that enough. Okay, I'm wrong. Great, let's keep on moving.
I find there's a lot of people not really ask, just get a statement of intention from them. What's your intent with this? And then just do your best to follow that statement.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so kind of like on that vein, I do find a lot in government, not specifically in government, but my experiences within government, that a lot of the time they have, like the client has identified what they truly want the site to do and what they want to have it be done. And in their mind, they've seen like a feature or something on like another site, and they're just like, we should have that. And you're like, but it doesn't really serve the purpose for what you're trying to like do on your site. And sometimes it takes time for the developers or the team who steward the site to kind of have some like hard data coming back and be like, yeah, but the feature is actually killing the productivity, or the people leave the site early, or you know, we have like a lot of website feedback saying that they couldn't find this one thing and they had to call our group or something like that. But if there were just like more people at the table when that like was initially being designed, perhaps some of the people who actually work on the site, to kind of like ground the discussion a little bit, I feel like that could have been a more beneficial plan.
Yeah. And I think part of what you're describing is like, there's different people at one end of those 5 things than there is at the other, and they're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
And that can cause so many different problems. And one thing you talked about, like using data to support your argument, great, yeah, that can work. But sometimes all it takes is like just asking questions. Like, is this shiny feature really what's going to drive high-level goal number 1? And talking it through right from the start. Okay, high-level goal number 1 is most important. These are the things that we're going to do first before we do anything else. We're going to get these things solid before we move on to number 2. And shiny thing might be number 5. So we're not going to get the shiny thing number 5 until 1 through 4 is done.
Like, I've been listening a lot from the government or non-profit people, and basically for profit, has the same challenges, has the same issues. It's the same loop, it's the same process. But instead of having a manager saying, hey, I saw that feature like on that website and I really want it, it's, hey, I saw the competition do this. Competitors are doing this, we need to do this. But I don't have time to handle that project, so here's a negotiation table that should have this happen in a couple of months. And when you come back with the really good features they need, then you have the showroom that comes back and say, no, I don't want that. I want what the competitor does. Do this. And then you get in the feature loop, and it's the same process, the same thing. It's just happening maybe faster, depending on the size of the organization. Because the example I'm using for that exercise, like going from the hey, competitors do this to having something online, would take about 5 to 6 years. And sometimes it's something small, something that in the Drupal time building it takes 2 weeks. And we need 5 years of negotiations and coming back and doing things and stuff to finally end up somewhere that is somewhat usable for the business 5 years after they need it.
Yeah, someone over here was saying like, well, what's your intent behind this? Like,
Yeah.
that can help making sure that there's communication through all those different levels and trust, and yeah, it's hard problems. Go ahead.
Yeah, to me, I think this stems from something that is like more broad than just the Drupal. I think some kind of a social trend that we somehow lost the art of negotiation and talk to each other and relate to any context. Like in some way we work how we live from. And so art of negotiating, I think we're losing it. We're forgetting how to talk to each other and making concessions and all that, and the fear of not mastering certain topics. Like you can call that like side effects or the art of the loss of the art of negotiation. But instead, a lot of that stems from that.
Quick question. The last time you bought like something like a fridge or a washing machine, did you ask the vendor, hey, is it your best price? Can you do better than that? How many people did it?
My wife does that.
Usually when you do it, you always say that at least 10% of the price, because they always tell you, oh, maybe I can do something and figure out it. That simple thing, a lot of people don't do it anymore. So we did lose a lot of those habits that I remember my dad always doing it on everything, every little stuff. Just asking, hey, is that really your better price? Sometimes the answer is yes, and you say, okay, that's fine. A couple of months later, when you go back to that place to buy something, hey, that time is it really your better? Because last time you told me yes, but I'm not sure about it. And they'll figure out something.
Go ahead.
I think it's just a general comment about sort of web development in general, where you've got sort of a mix of technology people and communications people trying to accomplish the same thing. And what we find is that the IT people just want to build stuff because that's what they know, right? They just want to, oh, this thing looks great, absolutely solve your problem. And the issue is that, especially in small teams, it's 1 or 2 people playing all of those roles. And so being able to, and one of the things that we've started doing is not talking, I know this is Drupal Camp, but we don't talk about Drupal. We don't talk about solutions, we don't talk about technology, so that we can focus on those first 4 steps of understanding what the need is and how do we address that need.
Yeah, I find that's a big disconnect for a lot of my projects that have had issues, is the disconnect between talking about things properly in the first step and having somebody that's actually part of that entire process until we get to build it. Because if there's not always somebody there that's part of each process, and then it sometimes becomes a game of telephone, and just so much information gets lost.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that, sometimes people wear different hats, right? So product manager, business analyst, sometimes project manager at the same time. And in small teams, when that stage is skipped and you go directly to start building things, sometimes you deliver something that doesn't meet the original needs because it was never fleshed out properly. And then customers will say something when they get their product, like, oh, Drupal isn't good, yeah, we had a bad experience with that, it's not a good product. It's not that it's not a good product, it wasn't implemented to meet your needs properly, and that's a different story altogether. So yeah, I'm just reinforcing what I think everyone is saying, you gotta start with those conversations in the beginning.
Okay, we're running out of time. These are all great thoughts, by the way. I will leave you with one last thing. Right now, if this was me sitting in this audience like 5 or 10 years ago, like I would be under some serious imposter syndrome right now. Like I'm a Drupal guy. What do I know about like having conversations about trust and these sorts of things? It's totally doable. You can build up these skills, and these same skills are going to help you out, regardless of where you are in your life, with your parenting or whatever. Yeah, you can do it. Build up these skills. All right, go enjoy lunch.
Great talking.